we don't have a team name, but that really doesn't matter here. We're here to talk to you about the rise of artificial intelligence and where we're going today as a society. Since the dawn of time, man has utilized machines in everyday tasks, whether basic tools. At the beginning, we make advancements, the creation of the wheel, discovery of fire and whatnot. Today, we have computers, we have robots, we have cutting-edge technology to help make lives easier. Artificial intelligence has kind of revolutionized many fields, from manufacturing to computational analysis. In just about every aspect, whether it be something simple to asking Siri a question and looking up an answer, artificial intelligence really gives you a helping hand. Today we're going to delve in the effects of artificial intelligence in military use, in the healthcare field, human psychology, and how it is utilized in criminal justice.
I'm Nathan, and I explored the bad possibilities. So we're going to start off with a quote from Elon Musk. He said, "I think we should be very careful about artificial intelligence. If I had to guess at what our biggest existential threat is probably that." So this is a guy who has started companies like SpaceX and Tesla Motors, and these were to help the human race in general. With SpaceX, it's to occupy more than one planet so that we can't go extinct if something happens to Earth. And with Tesla Motors, it's to cut down on greenhouse gas emissions. So when he talks about existential threats, this is something that he's personally invested in these two ventures. So artificial intelligence being bad is not a new concept. It's been explored in multiple movies. These are just some examples. So for a large portion of human existence in the military, it's been a person fighting another person, and then they've just gotten bigger sticks or bigger guns or whatever. So in World War I, this is the first remote-controlled flying aircraft. So this was used to affect Zeppelins, so it would fly into them and then the Zeppelins would crash. Go to the next one. So this has evolved into drones. So this is the Predator Sea Avenger, and so right here, this is what's called a HELAD, and shoots lasers to shoot down missiles. And the wingspan would be about as wide as this room, and you can put missiles in there. And this is an integration of artificial intelligence. So it'll occupy an area of a zone, and then this intelligence makes sure these crafts don't fly into each other, cuts down on costs because you don't have to hire as many soldiers. Next one. So this is another intelligence. So the Navy Aegis system, if there's a large amount of missiles going towards a number of ships, this system on board will use radar to analyze the missiles coming in, and then use missiles to then fire back and neutralize this threat. And this was first tested in 1973, so I'm sure there's been some advancements since then. But the overarching theme is that we're moving from weapons where it's humans against humans and it's computers against computers. So if there was a really bad virus, this could have access to these kinds of systems. So a good philosophical question is, what else is self-awareness? Do we, even as ourselves, have self-awareness? Could an artificial intelligence gain self-awareness? So at this point in time, artificial intelligence could not gain self-awareness, but the real threat we could have to these kinds of systems is if it's going through its code, and you can correct me on this, if it were to misinterpret some sort of task or try and answer a question in a different way, that's what would be dangerous to the human race.
Hi there, me again. It's Brad, talking to you about healthcare. Healthcare is an integral part of society. Everyone, I hope, has seen a doctor in their lives. The healthcare system is constantly expanding, constantly evolving, if you will, trying to stay on the cutting edge of technology, moving from a very form paper society into something completely digital, which is a beautiful revolution that's going on, but it's also a very daunting task. There's many good things that we are discovering with artificial intelligence inside a hospital and with access to a patient, kind of linking patient and physician, or just help in research overall. One of the biggest things that I wanted to focus on was the use of IBM's Watson. IBM's website has a very nice layout about Watson and the capabilities that Watson has. They even specifically describe his oncology capability. Oncology is the study of cancer and development and treatment of cancer. They said that Watson has the ability to scan and discover, go through about 6,000 documents and on an instant call, and then will develop can find you answers where a normal doctor or team of doctors will take days, hours, days, whatever, what have you. It's cutting time, and it's finding major medical developments that we would struggle with today on our own. There's still some negative parts of it, but there's some good things, I guess, that kind of come around. One of the bigger negatives is that we're restricting access and kind of advancement in smaller rural areas. Those who don't live towards like the urban or the larger cities, the more metropolitan areas, will probably suffer a bit in their healthcare experience because, as we know, as technology advances, prices go up. A lot of these small hospitals can't afford it. Fortunately, there have been I've read about hospitals that want to make small clinics, if you will, that can kind of treat people. It wouldn't be a full-blown hospital, but it'll be something which is better than nothing. The worst part of artificial intelligence is that it takes away the human experience of health. My mother's a nurse, my brother's a nurse, and they're absolutely terrific at their job. There's nothing quite like being treated by a human. And I personally feel that a healing atmosphere, a healthy atmosphere, produces a healthy patient. And so a person helping a person is the only real way to treat.
My name is Mandy, and I'm going to talk about my field of psychology and artificial intelligence. A little bit of history. When psychologists form a theory, they collect data, and a large amount of data is known as statistics. And before the year of 1968, psychologists had to do all the data, all the statistics, all by hand, and interpret it by hand, which is the standard deviation, mean, whether there's a significance, and finding t-test, and all that goodness, and doing all their graphs. And they had to understand the math that was behind all the statistics, so really, they had to know their stuff. And for the beginning of artificial intelligence, in 1968, a computer software program came out called SPSS. And with SPSS, psychologists are able to input all their data, and literally this computer system does everything. It figures out significance, relationships, does all your t-tests, your p-tests, your standard deviations, and it makes life a lot easier. It's able to do everything a human could do, but it's just able to do it more efficiently and accurately. But is it really that beneficial for psychologists to have this program, to not understand the math behind what they're doing and not even understanding where these numbers are even coming from? And what does this mean for the future? Who's to say that robots aren't going to conduct experiments now instead of human psychologists and interpret all the results and have no need for any of us really. And this is Ellie. She's a computer psychologist. She was created, according to Sarah Wright from Technology Guide. She was commissioned by the U.S. Department of Defense due to the high number of suicide deaths by military professions. She was created to see if military professions are more likely to open up to a computer than a human psychologist. And according to the economists, results show that the individuals who believed that Ellie was just a puppet who was operated by a human, they were least likely to open up to her. But the group that knew that Ellie was a computer and there was no human functions with her, they were more likely to open up and express more personal info to her. And what makes her better is she's able to detect individual emotions better by nonverbal cues. She's able to pick up on eye contact, your mannerisms, and potential body language and stuff like that. And since military professions aren't likely to express verbally what's wrong, she's able to detect by your nonverbal cues. She's able to provide appropriate nods and facial expressions and ask report building questions towards you. And some limitations of her, she's not able to diagnose you. She's just there to give information to psychologists and be able to have the psychologist be able to view the patient more objectively and not have a prior set of like a military profession like, oh, automatically PTSD. She's able to provide more information behind that. And another limitation is she's not able to experience empathy and stuff like that. A downfall of artificial intelligence, AI performs to completely different tasks than what the human brain does. And social interactions with humans can be diminished or just really awkward because if you're only talking to a computer, it's having social interaction and not picking up on nonverbal cues can make things awkward. And what happens if AI turns against us and takes over for the worse? But there's a lot of positives of AI. I mean, Ellie, she has been shown that it's very beneficial for individuals who are unable to feel comfortable expressing themselves and showing vulnerability in front of people. And it's changing of society right now. Society seems to be able to interact better through technology. I mean, we always are texting or emailing. We're better at doing that than having social interactions with people, and we're seeing that more and more today.
Okay, I'm Shawnee, and I'm a criminal justice major, and I'll be talking at it from a law enforcement perspective. And just to start out, the picture in the corner is one of the new robots that law enforcement agencies are going to hopefully start using in the future. And it's made by Boston Dynamics, and they were just bought by Google. So it's a really like high-tech robot, and right now it's being trained so it can take the place of human tactical teams during like difficult incidents so that there'd be less casualties. And then also they created a chat bot, and it replicates a little girl, and it has all her characteristics and everything. And then when it goes into chat rooms and it gets sexual offenders by being able to pretend to be these girls for that period of time. And it's almost like implementing cyber detectives inside of chat rooms rather than having men sit there and do that at their job. And then also a smart policing initiative was created. And it's like where you're going to be able to tell people's demographics and where they're going to attack next to hopefully stop it in the future. And then on to more future crimes and how to stop those. They have an openness and online digital helps, and this really just makes it so data is easier to get, and like the Target incident that happened. So they're learning how to do that, but it's also turning out to be a negative for law enforcement because hackers are learning how to do all this. And they're helping continue with law enforcement by being able to use facial recognition on most typical like screens and everything, so it's easier to find people. And then what I found interesting is the biotechnology, and it's the future coding. So it would code genes, and then it would help find evidence quicker, like if you use a cigarette butt or something, rather than having to send it to a lab and wait. And then also, their big thing in law enforcement agencies is how the digital evidence is stored. And it's stored by, like they don't know how to store it because there's so many different ways that they can store it now, so they're not running out of room like they were. One of the negatives though is that drones, police can't really use to catch people, but they can use them on highways and everything to give them speeding tickets. So for moving cars where they couldn't like chase after somebody with them. And then they're always behind because of their lack of funding for things like this, while the criminals usually can find it cheaper. The future of policing negatives, it's going to be easier to prey on for criminals to prey on their victims because mainly of social media, and they're learning almost everything they want about someone before they attack. And then terrorists are kind of doing it the same way by using data mining to find where they'd be able to find the most body casualties. And then they're like far away and they just make this bomb go off, and based on how many people are using their cell phones, that's where it's going to attack. So they're trying to do this, and it's good and bad for law enforcement, but I think there's more mainly good. Oh, and then from the first presentation, I found the answer to the question. And the workers were careless, and it turns out it was his fault actually because he went into a zone he was not supposed to while they're in operation, and people started to kind of take advantage of the safety for the robots because they were just fixated on being able to fix them and make them better.
And overall, AI has influenced many aspects of the world in many different fields of studies. And but even though there's the high potential risk and that everybody fears that AI is going to overtake humans for the worst, and that's going to be the scariest thing ever, what we need to do is understand all the potential advantages that AI can provide us and use them to our advantage and make things more efficient and better for the world and everything. And whether society accepts it or not, AI is still coming and it still can continue to grow. So why don't we just embrace it and just use it to our advantage and move up in the world?
Any questions?
Well, I'd maybe just ask each one of you just to summarize, in your area, would you think that, because you mentioned potential benefits and potential risks, so just overall, more positive or more negative for each
I
other?
think it'll be more positive for law enforcement because that's what they've been using.
Okay.
So really it's just that criminals, I think, are catching up, and it seems like they're going past us.
Then there's always going to be like an arms race, but
Yeah.
it's more positive for you. Okay, so you see more positive than others?
Positive because makes things more efficient, replaces monotonous tasks that
Bless you.
humans used to do, and like, what kind of needs would an AI have? It doesn't really, like, are they going to go get more batteries or something like that? So humans are kind of evil because they're playing off like these needs we've developed over years of evolution. So I don't know whether to need money or just need the ability to buy more sugar or something like that. So okay.
Yeah, no, I love it. We're doing things that we've never dreamt possible in the medical field. The more we can understand it, the more it'll be at our advantage.
Okay.
And I think it's more of a positive for the psychology field just because people are able to show themselves, show more vulnerability, and be able to get some help that they need that they're too afraid to ask for. And like I said, we're more comfortable interacting behind a screen and with technology than we are with social interactions.
Okay. Oh, and just real quick, the Ellie, the picture was a drawing, but is Ellie like a robot, or is it more just, is it a computer interface?
She's more of a robot,
Oh,
yes.
so there
She is a
is,
robot,
okay,
yes.
okay. So that's just like a drawing of?
That's just a drawing.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay, cool. Okay, other questions?
Yeah, I guess with Ellie, so people with PTSD, like, they're triggered easily. I know this is like a general question. Is there like a negative of someone with PTSD, like, to get triggered easily since it's not a person? It's more of a robot and they know why they're there talking to a robot. And the robot is only to facilitate PTSD, which with the person's the same way, but they can kind of manipulate around that. You think it's kind of like, is it scary, like for?
Honestly, I never even thought about that for that, and honestly, I can see that, seeing how it does deal with like more like technology, and you're not able to. I mean, if someone has PTSD or they just have like a problem with like the government or something that it's going to come after them, I could see them being like, this is just the government coming after me or something like that, and I can see that. I never really thought it that way, so thank you for that, actually. How about that? I don't know if that answered your question or not.
That's just whatever you think.
Yeah. I don't know. I can see the potential harm of it, but I think it's going to be doing more good than anything. So, yeah.
Okay, well, thanks.